General Hospital spoilers indicate that Jason Morgan and Britt Westbourne have reconnected. Jason and Britt spent a quiet time before Jason was believed to be buried in the Cassadine tunnels. Is Jason and Britt the super couple that GH requires? Jason Morgan and Britt Westbourne are on the run in 2021, with Jason accused of killing Franco Baldwin. After a hit was placed on Jason, Sean Butler volunteered to stab him in order to get him to the hospital. Britt and Jason were both in dire danger, so Britt volunteered to help Jason escape from the hospital. Jason and Britt managed to escape, but Jason was shot in the process. Jason, Britt, and Britt made it to a safe house, but Jason was in trouble and needed aid immediately. Britt and Jason wound up at a lighthouse in Canada. Britt told Jason about her Huntington's illness fears. Jason Morgan and Britt Westbourne crossed the line. Jason went to a nearby clinic to be examined. Britt was indeed burdened by the Huntington's disease sign. Jason and Britt returned to the lighthouse where they kissed and made love. Fans liked them together. Several admirers hoped Britt could even have Jason's child. Jason then needed to return to Port Charles. Jason later married Carly Spencer, before Sonny Corinthos returned home. Jason and Britt later traveled to Greece to rescue Dr. Albrecht and Drew Kane. Jason was assumed dead after being caught up in a tunnel collapse while hunting Peter August. Jason Morgan and Britt Westbourne have returned. Jason returned after a few years. However, Jason discovered that Heather Weber had murdered Britt. Now that Jason has discovered Britt, are they the couple GH needs to give girl love in the afternoon a boost? Could Jason and Britt become the next hot GH super couple when they reconnect? Jason and Britt have great chemistry. Now that Sam McCall is gone, Jason should be able to move on. Jason and Britt have the potential to be an outstanding relationship with some writing assistance. Jason is eager to reconnect and pull things off. Should the writers make an attempt to make these two characters worth rooting for? General Hospital wants a new and intriguing couple. Jason and Britt are here and waiting. Why should the writers make an attempt to make Jason and Britt the super couple of 2025? Jason deserves to be happy for once, and he hasn't been for years. Where do they go from here? The General Hospital spoilers for the week of August 25th to 29th show that Willow Tate will make a bold proposition, and Britt Westbourne fears new problems. Portia Robinson will also go too far, resulting in some dramatic moments on the ABC serial. Fans can witness the aftermath of Rick Lansing's head injury at Alexis Davis's house. If Ava Jerome has just killed Rick, you can guarantee she will compel Alexis and Christina Corinthos Davis to help her hide what happened. Later, Molly Lansing Davis will question Christina about her Cody Bell payments and the Ava seduction scheme. If Christina has become involved in a horrific Rick cover-up by then, she may have considerably bigger problems to deal with. Stella Henry will be arrested on GH, which will fuel Curtis Ashford's rage against Drew Kane even more. Portia will also witness a shocking event. Thus she may watch Stella be arrested. After that, Portia would destroy something in her workplace before making a dangerous decision. We'll see Portia go too far, and she may come to regret her next move in retribution against Drew. Trina Robinson will learn the latest Stella news and seek Kai Taylor's assistance, so she may wind up plotting Drew's downfall as well. Can Trina open Kai's eyes and persuade him to aid her? According to other GH spoilers, Giovanni Gio Palmieri and Marco Rios will discuss their parents. Marco may acknowledge that he is delighted he reconciled with his father because he now has a genuine relationship with Sidwell. That could help Gio bond with Dante Falconeri, as they will soon have a thaw. Dante will be pleasantly impressed by the improvement, but where does this leave Brooklyn Quartermain? Marco may also express remorse for not being able to repair his connection with Natalia Ramirez before her death. Gio still has an opportunity to mend the relationship with Brooklyn, but establishing trust will be difficult. Willow Tate's reckless proposal, probably to Drew, will increase the strain on Michael Corinthos. Willow may be willing to live with Drew again, and rekindle their romance if he actually helps her reconcile with her kids. That might push Drew even more off the rails in terms of threats and power plays against Michael. Danny Morgan and Rocco Falconeri will spot a body drifting in the sea near the docks. That will take Rocco and Danny by surprise, so stay tuned for updates on how they will deal with the chaos. At the Five Poppies Resort, Britt suspects that new trouble is brewing. Could Britt go looking for Jocelyn, Jax, and Vaughn in captivity? If Britt needs aid with a rescue, she might decide to use the burner phone Jason Morgan handed her. According to General Hospital spoilers, Britt and Jason will cross paths again soon, so don't miss out on all the excitement. Jason Morgan, played by Steve Burton, is a pillar of General Hospital, noted for his stern demeanor, deep loyalty, and complicated life as a mob enforcer with a moral compass. Britt Westbourne, played by Kelly Thibault, has a different energy, sassy, imperfect, and fiercely independent, but vulnerable beneath her strong exterior. Their paths first intersected meaningfully in 2021, when fate brought them together in a high-stakes event that established the groundwork for their romantic potential. At the moment, Jason was caught up in a perilous web involving Cyrus Renault, a criminal overlord menacing Port Charles. Britt, the hospital's chief of staff, was also at conflict with Cyrus, who wanted to dominate her through his influence at General Hospital. Their common aim of stopping Cyrus resulted in a key moment. Jason was hurt, and Britt's medical knowledge and fast thinking rescued him. As they fled to avoid Cyrus' soldiers, their friendship became stronger, punctuated by moments of vulnerability and trust. Britt confided in Jason about her anxieties of harboring the Huntington's disease genetic marker, revealing her softer side. This was a defining point in their early relationship. Jason, who is generally reticent, responded with silent support, accompanying her to a clinic for testing and standing by her side as she received sad confirmation of her condition. This discussion was pivotal, demonstrating their capacity to connect on a profound emotional level. Unlike many of Jason's previous relationships, which relied heavily on his guardian role, his chemistry with Britt felt surprisingly equal. She wasn't a damsel in distress. She was a companion who matched his strength while also challenging his stoicism with humor and rebellion. Their time on the run, culminating in a passionate rendezvous, hinted at the possibility of a romance to rival the show's best love stories. However, their growing romance was cut short by external causes, most notably Jason's devotion to Carly Corinthos. When Carly, facing challenges to Sonny's criminal enterprise, proposed a marriage of convenience to strengthen their position, Jason consented, leaving Britt heartbroken. This move, while in character for Jason, who frequently emphasizes duty over personal wishes, felt like a betrayal to fans who had invested in Britt. Britt's pain was obvious when she faced Jason, her cutting remarks emphasizing the intensity of her emotions. Sonny's surprise homecoming ended Carly's marriage, but the harm to Jason and Britt's relationship had already been done. Their story was further sidetracked when Jason was assumed dead following an explosion, and Britt later appeared to die at the hands of the Hook Killer in 2023. These disruptions robbed fans of a romance that had only just begun. The recent return of both characters to General Hospital has given fans hope that Jason and Britt may finally have their opportunity. Kelly Thibault's comeback as Britt was confirmed in mid-2025, with teasers suggesting that her death was staged or arranged, potentially in connection with her undercover work at the Five Poppies Resort in Croatia. Jason, motivated by a gut sense after observing someone resembling Britt at an airport, started on a mission to find her, ignoring the suspicion of others in Port Charles. Their meeting on August 18, 2025, was a much-anticipated encounter, highlighted by an emotional locking of eyes that revealed their unresolved feelings. However, the reunion took a bittersweet turn when Britt, who is now living a new life with her Huntington's condition in remission, declined Jason's invitation to return to Port Charles. Her rage originated from past hurts, his decision to prefer Carly, and the mental cost of believing he was dead. This friction further fueled supporters yearning for a reconciliation, highlighting the complexities of their relationship. What distinguishes Jason and Britt as a possible super pair is their ability to balance opposing characteristics while having a core compatibility. Britt's wild, unpredictable attitude contrasts perfectly with Jason's restrained, almost monastic personality. She brings out a lighter, more human side in him, eliciting laughs and tenderness that are unusual for the austere hitman. Jason, on the other hand, sees through Britt's tough facade, recognizing her vulnerabilities and protecting her when others dismiss her as the britch. Their chemistry, as evidenced by their banter and shared glances, is real, in stark contrast to the more artificial partnerships often seen on soaps. Their experience of facing peril together, whether escaping Cyrus or negotiating their internal issues, suggests they might center a plot rich in adventure, romance, and emotional stakes. The fan reaction to their reunion has been a combination of joy and resentment, reflecting the divisive nature of their relationship. Social media platforms such as X have been flooded with opinions, with some fans welcoming the return of Britt or Bra-sun, while others regretting the writing decisions that kept them apart. One fan's remark summed up the excitement. "Jason and Britt are reunited. Reunited, and it feels so good." Others were disappointed by Britt's initial rejection of Jason, blaming poor writing for failing to provide the emotional reward they sought. Even the skeptics recognized the potential for a compelling arc, with many citing the unfinished aspect of their story as a motivation to continue watching. The discussion over their ship's name, Britt versus Bra-sun, exemplifies the enthusiasm they create, which is the characteristic of a great super pair. From a story standpoint, General Hospital may benefit from upgrading Jason and Britt to super couple status. The program has struggled in recent years to replicate the charm of its classic couplings, with many viewers believing that modern romances lack the depth and longevity of previous favorites, such as Luke and Laura. Jason, a fan favorite, has been without a consistent love interest since his return to Port Charles, with other possible couples, Sam, Carly, Elizabeth, or Sasha, either unavailable or underdeveloped. Sam's terrible death in 2024 brought an end to Sam, a legendary super couple, while Carly stays in the friend zone and Elizabeth's plot has shifted in new ways. Britt's return presents a new opportunity to fill this hole, particularly given her confirmed involvement in Thibaut's indicated desire for a reunion. Britt's character complexity adds to their potential for intrigue. Her background as a schemer, along with her transformation into a more heroic figure, makes her an intriguing fit for Jason. Unlike some of his prior partners, who frequently use standard romantic cliches, Britt's untidy, flawed personality reflects Jason's own contradictions, a mobster with a golden heart. Her work at the Five Poppies, which may be related to Huntington's research, adds a scientific and ethical dimension to her character, laying the groundwork for tensions that could intersect with Jason's world of crime and loyalty. This combination of emotional and professional stakes might propel a tale that is both current and distinctly soap opera. However, there are obstacles to establishing Jason and Britt as a power couple. Their past is limited in comparison to the years-long sagas of typical super couples, prompting some fans to question whether their bond is strong enough to support a big arc. A 2021 Reddit post echoed this cynicism, with one commenter wondering, what was the point of the Jason and Britt romance storyline? But it was swiftly overshadowed by Jason's devotion to Carly. The show's decision to revisit their romance must address this criticism by focusing on their past and giving them time to grow as partners. Furthermore, Britt's rejection of Jason during their recent reunion indicates ongoing trust difficulties, which could impede their path to reconciliation. To succeed as a super pair, the writers must carefully manage these challenges, ensuring that their love feels earned rather than forced. Another stumbling block is Carly's influence on Jason, which has long irritated supporters of his prior relationships. Carly's possessiveness, seen in her initial skepticism of Britt, could re-emerge as a cause of contention, especially given her history of interfering with Jason's love life. While some fans think that Carly's platonic relationship with Jason is necessary for the show, others see it as a roadblock to his romantic development. A good Britt plot would have to handle this dynamic, maybe by allowing Britt to confront Carly directly, or by demonstrating Jason valuing Britt in ways he hasn't before. This might result in a typical soap opera triangle, while also emphasizing Britt's agency as a character. The greater setting of General Hospital supports Jason and Britt's case. The show has relied largely on mob-related stories and other dramatic arcs, sometimes to the detriment of romance. A fantastic pair, such as Jason and Britt, may restore balance by telling a love narrative that complements rather than overshadows the action. Their shared history of danger, evading Cyrus, rescuing Liesel, or confronting fresh challenges at the Five Poppies, lays the groundwork for high-stakes experiences that might captivate viewers. Furthermore, Britt's medical background and Jason's criminal world provide several opportunities for crossover plots, ranging from corporate machinations to personal betrayals. Ultimately, whether Jason and Britt are the super pair General Hospital requires is down on the show's ability to capitalize on their potential. Their chemistry, tested by previous challenges and sparked by their reunion, is palpable. Fans are already invested, as indicated by the impassioned comments on social media, and the continuous discussion over their future. By telling them a story that mixes romance, conflict, and adventure, General Hospital may create a partnership that rivals its best love story. It remains to be seen whether they can transcend their previous scars and external hurdles, but the thought of Britt being a defining force in Port Charles is enticing for both the play and its audience. The air in the room was thick with tension, a palpable sense of unease that seemed to cling to every word said. Willow had always been the brave one, pushing boundaries and testing limits, but her latest proposition had sent shivers down everyone's spine. It wasn't only the audacity of her plan, it was also the way she delivered it, with a sparkle in her eye that showed she was well aware of how risky it was yet enjoyed the challenge. She stood at the head of the table, her voice firm but tinged with a zeal that indicated she was fully committed. The objective was to infiltrate a rival group, known for its ruthlessness and secrecy, in order to obtain information that could tip the power balance in their favor. Willow had suggested anything reckless before, but this time was different. This wasn't simply violating the rules. It was entering a lion's den with no assurance of survival. Her confidence was fascinating, attracting some while others exchanged dubious glances, unsure whether to appreciate her bravery or question her sanity. The stakes were higher than ever, and the room echoed with the gravity of what she was suggesting. Every detail she described, disguises, coded signals, a limited window of opportunity, heightened the idea that this was a risk with lives at stake. Nonetheless, Willow appeared almost delighted by the danger, as if the thrill spurred her resolve. Britt sat quietly in the corner, unable to shake the knot in her gut. Willow had pulled off impossible plans in the past, but this one felt odd. There were far too many variables and potential problems. Britt wasn't afraid to take action. She'd been in a lot of tight spots, but her senses told her this was trouble waiting to happen. She studied Willow's animated motions and the way her hands moved as she presented the idea, attempting to determine what was hurting her. Was it a lack of exit strategy? The reliance on inexperienced allies? Was it something deeper, something in Willow's manner that suggested recklessness verging on obsession? Britt's thoughts raced, piecing together snippets of conversations and subtle hints she'd picked up over the last few weeks. Willow had been staying up late poring over paperwork, meeting with people she wouldn't name, and avoiding queries with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Britt had always trusted Willow's judgment, but she wasn't so sure anymore. The more she thought about it, the more she feared Willow was hiding something from them, a piece of the puzzle she was keeping to herself. Britt's fingers tapped anxiously on the armrest of her chair, as she considered whether to speak up. Calling out Willow in front of everyone risked shattering the fragile trust they'd created, but remaining silent felt like complicity in a calamity waiting to happen. She attracted the attention of another team member, who gave her a discreet nod, as if understanding her discomfort. It was enough to motivate her to act. Britt cleared her throat, leaned forward, her voice calm but firm, and posed the question no one else dared. What happens if this goes wrong? Willow, what are your backup plans? The room grew hushed and all eyes were drawn to Willow, who froze mid-sentence, her visage flickering with something unreadable. For a brief time she appeared to dodge, but instead she provided a tight smile and a vague promise that they'd figure it out if it came to that. It wasn't enough for Britt, nor for the others who were shifting uncomfortably in their seats. The lack of a definite answer further increased Britt's suspicions, so she vowed to keep a closer check on Willow and delve deeper into what was fueling her obsessive pursuit. Meanwhile, across town, Portia was taking matters into her own hands, pushing things to their breaking point. Portia had always been the wild card, unpredictable and fiercely independent, but her actions today were pushing boundaries she had never dared to cross before. She'd been working on her own angle, which she hadn't shared with the group, confident that her approach was the only way to achieve results. Her methods were unconventional, some might say unethical, and required exploiting ties that made even the most hardened among them uncomfortable. Portia had made contact with a mysterious figure known only by a code name, who had connections to the exact group Willow was seeking. She had made a bargain, promising intelligence in exchange for access, but the conditions were unclear, and the risks were enormous. Portia rationalized it to herself as a necessary evil, a technique to gain an advantage, but she knew she was playing with fire. Portia's actions were motivated by a combination of ambition and desperation. She'd always felt like she was one step behind Willow, always in her shadow, and now was her moment to show she could outmaneuver everyone. But her scheme was disintegrating faster than she had expected. The contacts she'd made demanded more than she expected, including information about her own team, which she had pledged to keep private. Portia told herself she could handle it and keep the situation under control, but the truth was that she was in over her head. Late at night at a dimly lit cafe, she met with her contact, her heart pounding as she handed over a flash drive with carefully selected data. She had been diligent in ensuring that nothing too sensitive was included, but the act of treachery, no matter how minor, gnawed at her. She told herself it was for the greater good, that the aims justified the means, but the expression in her contact's eyes, cold, calculating and far too pleased, made her question everything. Her hands were trembling as she exited the cafe, and she couldn't shake the sensation that she'd made a huge mistake. Back at the meeting, the tension was building. Willow's ambiguous comments had further exacerbated the anxiety, while Britt's sharp questioning had encouraged others to express their concerns. The crowd was divided. Some were still captivated by Willow's magnetism, eager to follow her into the fire, while others were beginning to side with Britt, their faith in Willow fading. The proposal, once a beacon of hope for turning the tide, now resembled a house of cards on the verge of collapse. Britt realized she had to act quickly to discover whatever Willow was hiding before it was too late. She began carefully reaching out to her own contacts, gathering information about the opposing organization and Willow's recent activities. What she discovered only confirmed her fears. Willow had been in contact with someone on the inside, whose motives were suspect at best. The understanding hit Britt like a punch in the gut. Willow wasn't just being careless. She was playing her own hazardous game, one that could endanger all they'd worked so hard for. Meanwhile, Portia's activities were causing ripple effects. Her contact had seized the information she had provided and was already trying to exploit it, triggering a series of events that neither she nor Willow could have predicted. The competing organization was now on high alert, with security tightening and suspicions rising. Portia's gamble had failed, and the consequences were threatening to overwhelm them all. She knew she had to come clean, warn the others before it was too late, but the notion of revealing her betrayal made her shudder. She'd gone too far, crossed lines that couldn't be reversed, and now the repercussions were looming. As the night progressed, the three women, Willow with her audacious plot, Britt with her mounting suspicions, and Portia with her reckless ambition, were on a collision course, each motivated by their own reasons and oblivious of how closely their actions were linked. The stakes had never been higher, and the clock was ticking.